Is there a functional difference between using identify and adding users to groups to associate users with information?
Groups, if you see that in the payload or in the example event schema, I will share my screen so we have it. This is just the example of raw data. And then you have this groups dictionary here, right? This is usable when you have a B2B use case. For example, you will have a B2B platform and you are serving other businesses and those businesses have individual users. So that's a good scenario where you want to use groups because company name I see here. So for example, you're tracking company name and you're saying this user belongs to this company. You're going to be able to build analysis based on the companies that are using your product and then also switch to the user level. So you're kind of like zooming in on the user level. This is not appropriate for adding any other context to your users. If you're adding something about the user, then the user properties are the appropriate way to do that. One way to add user properties to users are through identify calls, or depending on how you're sending data, you can also add them directly to your events. But if you're using an SDK, most likely you're using identify call. And that is the correct way to do it. So through identify.
Got it. Okay. So I will do, for example, I have young users and I have old users. I would have age category identify call with young and then age category identify old, for example. I wouldn't add them to these to two different groups, even though I know that like the two groups I have is they're only going to be two. Like it's not a variable.
Maybe you can also use cohorts to build these groups of users. So if you can infer whether a user is old or young based on other properties that you have, let's say you're tracking age and old means you're above 50. So then you can create a cohort in Amplitude and say something like users who have a property like age greater than, or we're going to do over 50. And then you save this cohort and these are your senior users. Save this and then build a cohort and say, okay, everyone who is younger than 50 or less or equal to 50, then these are my young users. And so on. And then you can, when you build a chart, you are going to be able to filter your chart, let's say daily active users, something basic like that. And you filter it by that cohort. If you're already tracking the user information, maybe you can just use cohorts to build your analysis and not do anything else that's more complicated.
Thank you so much.